Yeah.
I was kicked off the break.
Yeah.
It is, I know.
But there's
It's-
another
it's-
show.
It's always, you know,
We're good now. I
I
can't
know.
see what
Yeah.
you look
Let's
like,
do
Mike.
the
That's
comment.
good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If you tell me I am.
God, I'm telling you, you are. All right, guys, welcome. First meeting this year. Happy New Year. It's been a while since we met. I think our last meeting was what, back in September before the Fall Festival?
Yes.
And
Are we being recorded?
we took a little break.
Hi, everybody.
First off, Angelo Barone is our new member on the
Nice to meet you
committee.
guys. Thank you. It's an
Welcome.
honor to.
Angelo, I understand, is a retired NYPD officer from New York and joining us in beautiful Bucks County.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank
Again, Angelo, we're a very informal committee. We're a veterans committee and we do this, we're fundraising and we do special events and things of that nature, and we're looking at expanding. But welcome.
Thank you.
Second order of business is election of chairman and vice chairman. So at this point, if anybody has a nomination for chair,
Verbal, use your
Verbal?
words.
I nominate Marco.
Marco.
do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, all opposed? All right, I'll assume the responsibility of chair. Next is vice chair. Anybody would have a nomination for vice chair? I'll nominate Dale Rimmer.
Second,
We have a second. All in favor?
Mike.
aye.
All opposed? Dale, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, here comes some responsibility now.
Oh, yummy.
Mike, do I get to vote or am I just sort of sitting in? I'm just sort of sitting in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But it's so informal, I just write it in.
All right, call to order, approval of the minutes. Everybody get a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting? If so, any corrections or amendments? And if not, looking for a motion to approve such minutes?
Motion.
Do we have a second? I'll second. All in favor? All opposed? Minutes are approved as written. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, so, this year, what I think we should do, and this is strictly a recommendation on my part, I think we should get started a little bit earlier on everything. Meeting starting, January to get ready for September. And I think it's gonna help us quite a bit. And I'm speaking about the Fall Festival. And adding to that is this township's 300-year anniversary. We were founded in 1723. And we're in 2023, so we're looking at adding the 300-year event to our formal Fall Festival. The Fall Festival was originally designed to raise money for Veterans Park. It was a small park that we raised money, and we raised money for the monument outside. And we kept on going until, we had the monument built and the park built. And now we're looking at expanding that, past that. And a lot of people would like to see us do a little bit more. Not just for the park, but perhaps for veterans themselves. And if you have any ideas on how we can expand our contribution to the township, you're more than welcome to speak out. So.
But Dale has a report from the 300th committee meeting.
Are you on the 300 committee meeting?
Yes, I
All
am.
right, good, good.
But, and Dale has a report, does he? I guess I better get on that. So we did have a meeting. We were given a budget. Should I say the budget or doesn't matter? It's public knowledge, I guess. $20,000 is our budget for what we can do to assist the Veterans Committee, this committee, in making obviously the birthday of New Britain Township memorable. So far, what we're talking is, and this would be with the blessing of this board, is potentially changing the time frame of Veterans Fall Festival to a later time, same date, later in the day, because of public works hours and volunteers being stressed out. We're going to move it from a set time that we figure out towards the evening and culminate in a fireworks display at North Branch. And that was okayed by Township, I guess managed.
Sort of.
I will say,
Go ahead, Michael.
with what I sent out with that email the other day, with the pending that a budget and the logistics of what is going on is presented and approved by the board. Because what the board has authorized currently in those resolutions doesn't include that. We're not trying to limit the committee in that regard, but anything beyond what's already been approved in the tricentennial committee resolution would need to be presented to the board and adopted by the board to fall under the scope of the 300 committee.
So maybe I
So-
can just say that the 300th committee wants to put on something at the Fall Fest to celebrate the tricentennial. We're also going to do a float for the parade and have some sort of commemorative to do. Dale came up with some, our people in the committee came up with some excellent ideas. And especially the fireworks idea.
Right.
And there was a little resistance. Obviously, we can't start at 10 if we're gonna have fireworks at 8:30.
Mhm.
So if we can get a plan to them that includes the fireworks, then we would be looking at starting.
Well, we would be needing more volunteers
Yes.
to limit the stress of the township, with their public works. We already did homework. We have the gentleman who's fully insured, $4,000 to do the fireworks. If anybody knows of the New Britain Covered Bridge Park fireworks, on that committee too, and we did it there, commemorating the 75th anniversary of New Britain Borough. So we had that already. That was one thing.
Who's chairing the committee, the 300 committee?
Bob Schultz.
Bob Showalter?
Yes,
Okay, and how many people on this committee?
I have that list right here.
Okay,
9 in total, including 2 supervisors. There are 7 residents, business owners on it. There are 3 subcommittees in charge of the commemorative, the fall festival display, and the parade float.
gotcha.
Which
So
is what Dale's talking about would be an add-on.
How does the 300 committee fit into Veterans Committee and Parks and Recreation? How do we
Entirely
coord-
separate.
How do we
It's-
coordinate?
That's why I'm
Well, we
presenting.
have 2 similar members on both committees.
Okay,
That's just specifically for the 300 celebration, right?
Right.
Correct,
It's,
and
it's,
So everybody's clear, after this year it goes back to whatever this committee decides, what start time, what finish time, what we're doing.
Yeah, and to highlight Dale's discussion, the $20,000 is the 300. This committee still has its budget for the fall festival.
yeah,
too, which is
20,000 on top.
independent,
gotcha.
Not affected by, I just want to make sure that's also. clear.
Not
It's
all for
like-
the Fall Fest, but.
Now, things that would affect this group,
But, well.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, who's taking the lead on the fall festival this year?
We are, you are, the Veterans
Is
Committee.
that still the lead? And then who's the coordination point between Parks and Rec? Because yesterday we had Parks and Rec and we really didn't know anything about it. So who's gonna coordinate all that? Did we hire a,
So we had interviews
event?
this
Not
week.
yet.
We
Yeah.
have a conditional, we're gonna have a conditional offer out this week to someone to start in the next couple of weeks.
so
okay,
you do have somebody
Hopefully.
else you were looking at, because I also have a name if you need it. We'll talk after the meeting.
Well,
if
we
you're
had,
interested.
we did have someone and then something went south, so they went back to interviewing, so I'm hearing now we have a new
We
name.
conducted interviews yesterday and today.
okay, good. So our goal is to have a planning coordinator.
This person will be the
Liaison.
hub, so to speak,
Mhm.
of connecting all these committees and will be
Okay,
attending because they will be in charge of all the events.
all right, good.
So they-
That's
they will
what I
be-
was looking for. Who's
Yeah.
gonna pull all this together?
They will be the interconnected hub to all these boards.
And these are just ideas that got thrown out.
Right.
And we're not, the 300th committee isn't telling you what to do with Fall Fest, but Dale had this idea. We realized that can only put fireworks on at night and we can't start at 10 in the morning and.
Essentially, fall festival would still be the same, basically what the 300 committee, once they put their plan together to be presented, would be asking you to just shift the time frame. It wouldn't necessarily have to
Yeah.
change every aspect of it. I think after watching last year's thing, we need to focus on the events. I think that's the big thing that draws us in and expanding.
So you guys think he's starting something like around 12 and doing an 8-hour event? Because we have the
No.
car
I was
show and all
kind of
that.
thinking more. Obviously, we can't just do something that's 4 hours long. I don't think that would work,
Oh,
not
no,
enough
I need
daylight,
that.
so it
Okay.
would probably have to. If you're talking about expanding, we'd be going back to that 5 or 6 hour window. I
So
mean,
that's start later.
yeah, it would have to start
Because if
later.
you want to do
because-
fireworks at night, I mean, obviously,
But
8 o'clock,
I'm
8:30.
saying maybe it's
Oh.
more like 2 in the afternoon.
I would say there's
That's
nothing
where
wrong
we're
with doing a longer a longer festival this year for the 300th township. I mean, I don't mind putting the effort in.
Yeah, that's a pretty good event. That's a
Well,
special
You
event.
gotta remember, we're bringing in our staff, and although they don't mind the overtime.
Well.
Well, the
way you
staff's
can
not-
Reduce some
Yeah,
of the
go ahead.
volunteer needs. Is this committee, as we start early, can look into food trucks. And having those there rather than us having to staff an entire cooking station.
Good idea.
Marco's
Just-
not gonna like that.
No,
I
Mark,
mean, Marco can still have his burger stand too, in between them walking.
I still haven't had a hamburger since.
that's funny.
But so you're thinking like starting like early afternoon, whether it be 12 or 1 or 2, and then what time sunset? But probably about 8, right?
8:30.
Definitely about 8.
That would be something that, again, this is where I go back to the 300 committee putting together a logistical thing, having that
Okay.
conversation about, hey, we wanna. This is when it gets dark and we'd have to put this on. We need staff from this. So this is the window. How long do we want staff here for? Like, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be worked through
All right.
by the 300
Alright.
committee and presented to the board and.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a good plan, I think.
So to be frank with you, that's what we need to know now. Is meaning we, the other board, we need to know,
I think what I'm hearing is this board's receptive to doing it. It's now up to the 300 committee to put that plan together. As
Yeah.
long as we're.
oh, okay.
I mean, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
hearing from it.
I think everybody's okay with that, right? I mean,
I always thought later was the better one anyway.
I always thought Veterans Fall Festival was too short myself. It's a lot of work.
I
And in
agree
the
with
morning is
you.
kind of.
And it just seems like it's over and we're like,
It's
that's
over,
it,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
done. I understand, Mike, and you're
Yeah.
probably over there, dude, I'm ready to go home
well,
lunchtime.
I think
Gotcha.
it's gonna be contingent on 2 things. One is what time do we want the fireworks? And secondly, staff. And you guys have to decide budget wise, how long you want your staff here.
I'm trying to find a way to explain it is. We should approach these events like we don't have staff, try and get as many volunteers as possible, and then we can plug holes as we see them.
I could do,
I think that's the way that we should look at all of our events. And kind of, I don't know if that's a better way of explaining what I
think it is.
did last
It
year.
is. I mean, we tried last year.
But I think we did a good job last year. There was no admin staff besides me here, which is,
Yeah.
was a big step because we used to have 3 or 4 people from admin,
Doing
manning
it.
tables, doing tickets, helping set up.
I got my wife is my wife's gonna be my son plays for CB West football and he's gonna be a senior. My wife's gonna be the senior parent for the board. I could definitely maybe talk about getting the kids, maybe the team volunteering with, maybe try to get the team, talk to the having that amount of kids,
Yeah.
maybe either seniors, junior seniors, at least a varsity team, maybe try to.
And I'll report back to this committee after we have our second,
The- So
There are kids that
I'll call
live, there are
birthday
kids that
committee,
don't.
tricentennial committee.
Dale's update too, the 300 committee will meet on the Wednesday.
Second
before
Wednesday of
this
the
week.
month, 7 PM.
So they will always meet the second Wednesday.
So that puts us in the line where Marco, I would have to be calling you to get some questions answered, obviously, if I needed. Of course, it would be through the board if we have to.
Of course, we're talking in Boy Scouts.
Yeah, okay, so let me add on a couple other
Girl
things so
Scouts, if
that
they
this
still
board
exist.
knows what we were talking of. We did Boy Scouts, here's what we came up with so far, and then you guys can have your input, of course. We're looking at renting a tent, 20 by or 40 by 100. We're not sure yet. We'll find out how much the tent is. The reason for this is we're gonna do a display of the 300 years I have,
Historical-
feelers out that, we will have a couple dressed in garb from 1723, everything down to the button, everything. So that would be part in the tent or outside. They may do a camp. One will be knitting and they'll do everything, husband and wife. I'm working on that and getting other people to potentially do like the Red War and whatever else through the 300 years. We had a lot happen it's older than the country. So we have to actually work on that. I reached out to, I'm just reaching out to the fire company, clearly, because of the fireworks would be one thing, but also having a firehouse competition, I'll call it Fire Wars. Did you ever remember when you were a kid, they blasted the hose at the little metal on the cable? Somebody's blasting the
I
other
was
way.
Talking to one of the auxiliary ladies and she said it used to be up there. I don't remember it being up there, so they must have come down
No,
at some point. but
It's a boatload of fun to watch.
She did tell me that most of the firehouse loves to do these civic events, despite what we were told by somebody else at the meeting.
So of course, we would help them. They would help us, meaning get volunteered, do their own thing. Have maybe a fire truck show.
And a bucket for
And
donations.
then have that, they can do whatever they wish. It's in the beginning stages, but that's a whole nother entity. Boy Scouts are gonna be involved as we were talking. We have to talk of a couple overlaps. Remember, we had the wiffle ball field once. I'm still looking into that and we're trying to find more passive things for the community to come out and celebrate and not have to pay. One thing I heard last year was how impressed everybody from the community was that they didn't have to get their wallet out at every station. We had the pumpkins, the kids could paint, and they're like, how much is this?
And that's what I think when I say events and things that go, I think that's the direction this committee should be moving that event. I
Yeah.
really think the way we did it last year, this is the event, let's figure out the cost and then
Get a sponsor.
advertise it to a
Yep.
sponsor to say, you want to sponsor this event, it costs this, and then it will be at no cost to the township residents. Like the bubble, I thought the bubble thing went well,
Everyone loved that.
you know,
Everything was great last
Yeah,
year.
it
School-
was.
School of Rock,
Right, School of Rock.
so we're gonna
we will-
duplicate everything we did last year. We're gonna duplicate that automatically.
They love the petting
Okay.
zoo and
The
yeah.
petting zoo and School of Rock and the bubble place and the pumpkins, right? That's an automatic.
Everything was the
It's
same.
advertisement for people, right? It's advertisement for people too as well, for
about potentially
for
having.
businesses as well,
A path
you know?
set up for them to come out with a
Yeah.
wagon and a horse and do
We-
some.
Yeah,
That stuff, we had conversations with them preliminarily last year, but maybe that's something we look
the
into.
Bowmans.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, he wants to start that business. I will have no further comment about that because
Who wants to start what business?
Well,
I'm
he's a
sorry.
good asset. to
Mike
the township.
Coleman
Yeah.
up at the old
Yeah.
Detweiler farm that they bought. I'm not saying it's a go. I have no idea what the
Is he the
zoning and all that
Belgians?
nonsense is,
Is
so.
Coleman,
Oh,
the
Coleman
one,
bought the farm from
Bill
Detweiler.
might have a connection about a horse
And
and a buggy.
didn't he live
being
on
drawn
Cedar
on
Hill?
that Field.
Yeah,
Is that
one of his
grass,
relatives, I believe. I'm not.
Hey,
yeah, they're the
I'm-
ones with the Belgian horse.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Cooper scooping. I got 2 dogs. I'm quite adept at it.
Okay, well, you
I
can be
think-
in
I think
charge
that
of
could
this.
Be part of the.
stuff.
I can't do the raffles. I can't do that. I have to do the
That's
raffles.
where you have it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do the horse and buggy on the trail. You don't have to do it on the grass.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just talking about, it was interesting, he was talking about maybe we set up a path or some
Yeah.
loop that they do.
Yeah.
That people can ride.
Yeah.
Just like they do hay rides at
I
A-Day.
think we almost need a flow chart on, there's so many people involved and so much going
Mhm.
on. We almost need some sort of flow chart to see what's in place and what's
Mike-
not in place.
Mike has that. He has his little,
I'm not a spreadsheet.
his
it's like a
large
flow chart,
spreadsheet.
Like,
with everything on there and who's doing what, and of course, that's all gonna go to the event planner.
Right, and I think we
When
should
they're
probably
hired.
table that until we see who that is and then see how they want to be involved in this. Right?
well, what's the date we're shooting for?
September 23rd.
Yeah, that was the date it was advertised.
What is that?
Fall Fest is gonna be
The
September.
second to last Saturday of the month of September.
Month of summer.
I believe that's a 5 Saturday month.
All right,
It's just,
So the 23rd.
you
Might
might wanna
answer
check
some
that date
questions
for other
anyway.
car shows, cause it didn't work out too well last year because there were 5 other car shows the same day
Yeah.
that we had the Fall Fest.
Actually, I am gonna take the lead on the car show.
Okay,
I have a couple people that, I received their name from the Warrington Township. They have their big festival
Mhm.
and they have a successful car show and the Lansdale car show. I got people to contact.
And I think the other thing too, we can look at for the car show, is what we wanna spend on the prizes and things for that. You know, we could up what that is and maybe do something a little more that might attract other people that wanna come. I don't know. I mean, look for.
Yeah, so the next meeting, if we could have something, some sort of flow chart and responsibility list on who's doing what. I think that helped us last year, make people accountable for certain things. So we're just not like all doing the same thing. Like, like Marco School of Rock Car Show,
Yeah.
Dale,
Yeah.
Bubbly Dale, got the bubble station.
Yeah, gotcha.
And,
Um,
I guess we all know our assignments. And then once we're done with our assignments, then we can start fundraising. If you know any businesses and
so fundraising. Let me address that. We were talking the same thing and now it's gonna be an overlap because this fundraising thing, you can't ask somebody to be fundraising for 3 different committees that are all doing things on the same day.
And that's typically how we space out. I don't ask the same people that do bingo for the fall festival. And we usually wait till about 2 weeks to a month at least after the
Okay,
July 4th to get letters out about the fall festival. But they're all very close to it. But I think the way we did the events last year made it very easy for people to commit money to it.
okay, so let's start with bingo. Okay, because we know bingo is a great fundraiser. Sue Gelb, all of us know, is retiring from bingo. Well, I talked to her and I offered, can we hire you $30 an hour to assist us with the bingo? I motioned the board that we do allow paying Sue to help us with the fundraiser and take it out of that fundraiser. I know.
First off, are we
I thought,
allowed? I thought we were
Yeah.
scrapping the bingo.
To that point, Dale, what was.
Go ahead.
We're hiring this person to do that already, so I don't think the township's gonna be duplicating efforts, paying 2 people to do events. We're hiring someone that's gonna be one of their responsibilities.
I thought
But she won't know how to do a
Shop-
bingo,
for the person.
I don't
Or
know.
or
the
he
wrong
won't,
person.
or whatever. I should
Um,
politically
wrong Sue.
correct, right?
No, she did.
Okay, so that's what she did.
I'm not saying that Sue can't be involved, I'm just saying, I don't know that the township's gonna be paying a part-time employee to be planning these events and then pay someone else.
Well,
Yeah,
I could put it in,
I don't think that this board, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna like this. I don't think this board has the authority to hire anyone to be
okay,
paid by the
so let me
township. But
rephrase
you
that.
gotta go,
If we do bingo, we would have to go through somebody that can help with said bingo. And that would be part of a expenditure.
I
Gifts.
think he was suggesting that we hire Sue. But to Mike's point, if we're hiring an event coordinator.
Okay, well, that's up to you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
If you want to do it without Sue,
No, it's,
don't
I'm
want
not
to.
saying
do
that.
it
I'm
with
just saying,
Sue.
I don't think you can put the township on the hook.
What I'm saying
But you gotta run it past.
Sue not willing to help, that she's just done.
Yeah, she,
Like if we call and say,
we
hey,
all
can
hit her
you
up
call the
every-
guy and order some things, so, like that's.
do we have the okay to have a bingo fundraiser? I thought
That
last,
hasn't been removed, it's still, it was advertised as an event.
and I need to know,
We just need to follow based on the shrine's requirements.
Yeah, and Dale says we have a license, and I think that's what someone had meant. I'm just repeating what was said to me. I've never heard that it's not. I've just heard that it might be, but I don't know how all these other organizations can run a bingo. If we have a license, we have a license. and
we
the
have a
Shrine lets
license.
us-
Do we have a license?
Dale says we have a
we
license.
had a license. I will look into it further.
Because my understanding without a license, we can't run the bingo as a township.
That's a license of small chance he's talking.
I will tell you, this board, I have since I've been doing this and before me, they never obtained a license.
It's news to me. I never,
The
Remember
last year
getting
was the
licensed?
first time I was asked for one.
By
Shrine
who?
asked for it.
The shrine asked for it.
Okay, so
And I said,
I will get back to the board on that next meeting. If you want to put it on the agenda, I'll let you know what's going on with the bingo. And then at that point, you cannot decide, because I have to report back to the Tricentennial Committee and what we're doing for fundraisers. And I don't want to put a bingo on that and put a bingo on this. I would like to do it together and put the money towards Fall Festival. And that's the muddy part, because I'm tagging on, okay, let me rephrase, the Tricentennial Committee's tagging on the Veterans Committee on this event, because they don't want us to set another date. They want us to use this date of the Fall Festival and work it out on the schedule of that day.
well, let me ask you this, does the Veterans Committee want to do a bingo event? Let's start there.
We need the 6-7 grand. So I'll answer the question with a yes. Okay, anybody else can have put on, but one night event, everybody has a good time and we make about, I'll say 5 to 7 grand. We didn't do quite as well last time, but that's why I want to put all the pieces together and do it the right way this time.
So if we want to have a bingo, we need to get a license or find a license.
Or hire
it's not-
somebody.
it's I think there's an application you have to submit for it.
Right.
I mean, my research last year, there's an application you have to fill out and submit it.
To the state, which
I forget which department.
I'm looking it up now.
I just know they have an application that you submit what you're doing and
Okay, so the question for Marco was, do we want to do one as the Veterans Committee? And if that's a no, then I'll take it back to the Tricentennial Committee. And I know they'll say yes. So we could play this and push the cart
No,
to
I'm
the
just
other
asking the
side.
questions. I'm just asking the question. It's,
Said a word yet, Steve. Come on. Are you alive there or what? Come on.
biding his time.
Okay.
It just, this fall festival is so great, and it's like the one day a year I can't be in town. No, it's like.
That's okay. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of work is done before the fall
Yeah.
festival, so that's what we're
Club with
banking on.
proceeds is required 20,000 or more, so we're not getting there. Reports are due by February 1st.
Well, why don't we look into that? If we need the license or not. I'd say as long as we don't double tap our sponsors. I'd say
And-
we're okay. If we have an event coordinator to run the show.
And over the last 2 years, the budget has included budgets for these events. So
Right.
in the past, we started with no money and we're trying to raise the money that goes with it. So the township has been
All right,
budgeted for these.
so
events to
let's
cover-
make a motion to have bingo, providing that we do it according to what everybody needs. We'll just make a motion to have
Legally, you
bingo. Huh?
Legally?
Legally.
Okay.
So who wants to make a motion to have bingo?
I'll make a motion.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so we'll go ahead and schedule bingo. Contingent upon,
Already set a date for it, so
okay,
What's the
What do you
bingo
need?
date?
I have a date
At
set
the
for it.
at the shrine.
What-
And I
Oh,
have
that's
it-
just all,
I
okay.
had an email from the shrine depending on how much.
What was that date again?
I have to look it up, yeah.
Okay.
It's usually sometime in April, right?
It's in April, I know. it's
End
in
April.
End of April, yeah.
When-
Can you email me that? So I gotta circle back to Sugel. and
Are
I'll
you
find
chairing,
out.
are you chairing the 300 committee?
No, Bob Showalter is, I'm
You-
just a
you-
member at
you already
large.
told me that,
Yeah,
sorry.
I can't do, this is hard. It's hard to run two very similar parallel committees.
All
So I
right, so
want
the
to work
purpose,
together.
so the purpose of the purpose of the Veterans Committee is we're gonna do what we usually do,
Correct.
status quo.
Change date.
And
time,
I
mean.
think we need to, next meeting, I think we need to assign responsibility on who does what. So we have that all taken care of and buttoned up. And so if you're thinking of, wanting to be in charge of the petting zoo or whoever's in charge of it,
That usually comes, the petting zoo is usually,
Yeah.
the park and rec board is usually
Right.
contributing,
We-
that's their.
well, that's what I'm saying. Let's put
And our
some names
new
behind.
event coordinator will be taking
And should
over
we do
that.
time?
Okay, good. good.
Remember that the Fall Fest has its budget. Whatever it is, I think
the fall festival, we put $5,000 in.
okay,
for it.
the $20,000 is on top of that. For the
Don't you be
tricentennial, so we
spending my
got,
money.
I don't know how much money we can spend on
See how
the
that works.
full commemorative. And the 4th of July is a float, so I'd say most of that 20,000 is probably
Going-
And that's kind of what
going to the Fall Fest.
You know,
that was kind of
fireworks.
what my goal was pushing that at the 300 committee was saying. Plan out these other things, see what money it's gonna cost
Yeah.
you to do
Right.
these things, and then plan the fireworks and see where that gets you.
Well,
Because we need to, if you're going to need more money, if you're going to need that, this is where you're going to have to be prepared to speak to the board and ask for those things and have a plan as to why you're asking for them.
okay, good.
I mean, that's the way I view it. It's
Okay,
just
so we
a
will-
presentation, But there's, like I said, there's money for the fall festival, that's the Veterans Committee budget, and then
Okay.
Tricentennial has their own pot of money in the 2023.
Well, last night at the Park and Rec meeting, I recommended that all the members of Park and Rec, come up with their ideas of what they think an event could be or whatever, and to get back to either Bill, May, or yourself. But one member said, Mercer Tiles with the Township 1723, a small Mercer tile.
that came up at the other meeting.
For what, for commemorative?
Yeah.
But that's a tricentennial's
Yeah.
job,
Right.
not the Park and
I'm
Rec.
just saying, I thought
Yeah,
that was a
we-
good idea.
Well, we all came up with that, yeah.
Did you?
The idea, I
So
like,
300.
remember, it's a top idea.
But we
Like
gotta
something someone's gonna use and.
keep, yeah, we
Well-
gotta keep something that's gonna, have the kids asking mommy to buy.
Okay, let's
And
get
that's not
off
gonna
of
be a
that.
Mercer tile, right,
We'll get off of that because that's the other committee.
right?
Well, let's try, Marco, good luck with trying to keep
So what's this?
Um,
So
we'll work on the commemorative part.
who's in charge of Tricentennial?
Bob Showalter.
And who's in charge of 300, or is it the same thing?
It's the
Same
same.
thing.
All right, you guys start throwing two different names in.
We renamed the 300 committee the Tricentennial.
Okay,
That's why I put it right in front of you.
It sounds more dignified.
Well, no, because I was hearing I said, did they start another committee here? Yes. I mean, we know the government likes
Yeah,
a lot of committees,
active people, right?
but,
Um,
all right, good.
So can we
So
a
we're calling it
time.
the Tricentennial. All right,
can we do the time tonight? Can we talk about setting the date and the time? We have the date
For,
for the Fall Festival.
For the
This is
fall.
the Fall Festival
Okay.
Committee meeting.
I'm going to tell you again, Dale, it's about that committee putting together a plan that says, we start then, we know dusk is then, we need people for this amount of time. Then you have to decide how much time you want to staff it for. Do we want to start at 2, or is it better to start at 3? Those decisions and a plan needs to be put in place by the Tricentennial Committee that the board can look at and this committee can look at and go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But again, we are so far out from it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, there's plenty of time to
We should
adjust that
probably
time.
start it before the 23rd,
unlike the tricentennial committee.
But Dale, I don't want to approve moving it now until we have.
no,
the plan in
I
place.
hear what you're saying, I hear what you're saying, it makes
Okay,
sense, it makes
deal.
sense,
I
it
don't want
makes
to
sense.
pre-commit
Makes
ourselves
sense.
to something.
Because we
until
have
that
certain
plan-
events that are time sensitive, so we have to be careful, just like the car show. I mean, they're not gonna want their cars here late at night and
Yeah,
stuff like that, so it's like.
that dynamic's gonna change
Other-
whether we even want to do the car show if we're starting at 3 or 4 at night,
Yeah,
well,
I
I think we do want to do that. I speak for the board, but I think we want to do daytime activities and do more of them for this new committee.
Mhm.
Just trying to make it a little better because it's the 300th anniversary.
yeah, I believe that was the
Um,
goal of that. committee.
Couple things I can tell you, we're working on commemorative shirts to sell. As fundraiser, Mercer Tiles came up. Where some kind of tchotchke stuff, I'm not sure if that's allowed, is
a
that?
Del Rimmer bobblehead.
Yeah, hey, I'm not the chair,
I
you are.
pride of side.
Hey,
Yeah.
300th anniversary, the other side says we pride, we side
Side
with
with pride,
pride.
yeah, there you go.
Hey, we're selling
Okay, good,
sponsorships.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'll get back to the board on that and I'll, and we'll talk time frame, and that I'll be having to talk to the fireworks guy and see if we're getting any help from the fire company and all that. I'll report back next, Veterans Committee.
But
meeting.
again, I'll say it again, early bird. I think we're gonna do better if we start early. And it will be more organized, there'll be less stress. And it'll be, last year was nice. I mean, I think we did a good job last year, but we started a little bit early. I think we can do even better.
And
A
I
couple
think the
things,
other thing to keep in mind is because I remember my main theme from talking to people at the event was, wow, I didn't even know this was going on today. So that is a piece of information that we should. be aware of and stay on
Bringing
top
up
of.
my little thought on those signs we had last year.
It has to change.
We need bigger signs and we need to promote the fun aspect of it.
Yeah.
Okay, the gun and the combat helmet just doesn't say fun to most people. So it's gotta be like,
I
foam
believe
bubbles.
that image came about because of the veteran component. that-
All I can tell you
actually
is
had those
I-
signs drawn up.
I went past those signs at least 6 times. It wasn't until I had to stop at the red light, sitting there, I looked over that I actually saw it said Fall Fest. I thought it was just some siding company.
hey, easy.
No, I actually had those signs made with that image.
They were not very,
Because it represents
know what it
the death of the
represents.
soldier.
I know what it represents, but if you're trying to get people to bring their
Well, no, I
kids
mean,
to
we're
a Fall
changing.
Fest,
We're changing.
and they need to be bigger so people actually can see them.
But
At least as big
we
as
can change, we
political
can change
signs.
that. We're gonna have new signs anyway.
Well,
marking the
we
300th
should have
anniversary.
somebody in charge of signs, because you shouldn't have to do everything.
The event
No,
planner,
that's-
yeah.
We designed those signs 15 years ago. But
And they're
one
very
thing,
bad.
we have to put in the budget,
You
and I
gotta
think,
get people to know what's going on.
but
Yeah, sorry.
one thing I think we need to help our sponsorship is basically do a better job displaying the companies that help us financially.
Agreed.
And one is a digital billboard out there, whether it be a truck with a digital billboard, especially at night. If we are having fireworks, CNC donated this, Pepsi Pet Resort, donated. And I think it's gonna be a good way for the vendors and the sponsors to get their names out there.
If the committee wants to commit funds to that, we can certainly look into that. I know the way we did it last year when we redesigned the model of how we were asking for money was putting it on the sponsor to provide a banner to us. So,
I know that,
You know,
but
to
it's
put-
not,
And as a small business, I gave you my old what you do is if they're gonna sponsor, we tell them, if you want a banner, we can charge the sponsor, the company, like Dale Rimmer Siding would buy for $300 a sponsorship. 100 of that is for the banner, 200's for you. You
Any
follow me?
idea what an
And that's how
electronic
that's how
billboard would cost?
do
I'm gonna
that.
take care of that. I'm gonna see what a truck billboard costs and what a pull behind billboard costs. And I think it would go a long ways for the sponsor saying like, hey, your name's gonna be out there, especially if it's late afternoon, it's gonna,
Mhm.
You want it to be worth it. You want it to be
Yeah,
worth that.
yeah.
I mean.
I mean, like Pabby's Pet Resort, they gave us $600. They sponsored the food court and they'll sign, I mean, we're 2023, we're not back there. We need to get
You're
more.
talking
into
about
that.
New Britain Township here, come on.
I know.
But again, yeah,
We
like,
can, I'll find out how much it
like I
costs.
said, the way it was modeled last year to limit what we spent and staff's time, it was put on the sponsor when they got those letters. And the thing, it said, give us a banner and we'll put it up.
Right. Let me find out what the digital,
Yeah,
The
I don't have a
advertising
problem with,
costs.
again.
and
I'm
then
not- I'm not-
if it's outside of our budget, it's outside our budget, then we'll go back to the banners, them sponsoring different banners.
Yeah, plus the sponsor, they usually get a table, right? They can put up they can have someone there, they can have
Well, I thought,
literature, they can have someone dressed up like a Dalmatian.
wasn't somebody told us, weren't we going digital outside?
Those things are part of. The
Long-term
inventory
plan.
list for the 5-year capital plan, but I don't believe any of those things right now are on the 5-year capital.
It has the capital plan been passed, signed,
Passed in
delivered?
September.
Last year,
Is
All
there
right,
any
good.
grants for commemorative birthdays and anniversaries of townships?
we're going to become, if you look at the one right up there next to the flag,
Right?
it's a proclamation from the county.
I think the county and the state do it.
We're gonna contact our representatives and the county and See if we can't get a nice proclamation and maybe a little money, but we don't know. We don't know what yet. That's what we talked about at the tricentennial
All
committee.
right, good stuff, good stuff. Good stuff.
One other loose end that I thought of, we were gonna present to the 4th of July committee, if there's such a thing, I think, about trying.
Doesn't.
Okay, so talk to Park and Rec about making a themed 4th of July parade this time. Theme based on anything you want with the New Britain 300th year anniversary. It could be anything from George Washington to, you know, invention of the wheel
Truman.
at that point. Jesus, place is old.
It's a suggested theme, not required.
Well, no, that's
You
I
can make a good George Washington on the float.
Doesn't
by the way, I'm not around 4th of July week,
I'm never around.
so it kills me too. I know what you're
Alan,
feeling with that.
Alan Gold always,
I golf.
and his wife always dress up in colonial costumes. He's like George Washington.
I know New Britain boroughs, elected officials used to all dress up as stuff.
He's always walking behind the Democrats float, you know, the most humorous.
No.
So they dress up. No, it was, I'm reading this in the paper and I'm going,
That was an accident.
get that, but you know,
Yeah.
Cynthia got upset. I was just like, I don't quite get that, but no, he dresses up. He's got a tricorn hat and everything.
I know.
Every 4th of July, I will mention that to him.
I don't know how I this turned
Oh,
into
it's-
that. I just
it's-
was saying,
You say
we're
you want
thinking
George
of theme-
Washington? We
we're
got a George
trying-
Washington.
we're trying to incorporate through the tricentennial committee, we're trying to get everything we do to be,
But I can.
you know,
ask him to
everybody
be
remember we're 300 years old this
the,
year.
the float. We have a
I
George
would think
Washington.
that-
I can get you a George Washington for the
That's
parade.
Unrealistic
So he lives there.
Right.
thing. I mean, you know, we do the parade floats. We learned from our mistake last year. We're not gonna have separate categories. We don't make that. It's not a mistake again.
Reading that like.
Well,
That was a good one to watch on YouTube.
Park and Rec,
But, I think every float can have something about,
So that's what I
you
mean.
know,
You could,
tricentennial.
when you have
whether it's-
an easy way to do it is the parade award is
Yeah.
the best tricentennial parade float. And
Yeah,
then those
yeah.
that make floats.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a simple modification that I don't.
But-
see-
I assume the 2 other boroughs wouldn't
Well-
have a problem
We're the ones
supporting
that-
us.
we're the ones
Actually,
that
they
put
were
it
us.
on.
They were us. They seceded years ago
Okay.
for some unknown reason.
From the standpoint of.
It's so,
We are the-
this is
we are the
Chalfont
township
and
that
the,
puts
and
on-
Stuff on
Yeah,
New
New
Britain,
Britain,
once
all
part of
New
New Britain Township.
I'm still 4 years here and I'm still.
Tribune.
Same thing, you can
Don't
go.
worry, I've been here 30 years. I couldn't tell you where
You
the
can
exact
stay on the
lines
same
are.
road, and it's called 3 different names, so.
No, I know.
Yeah,
Would it be unreasonable?
we even have 3 state reps.
Michael, would it be unreasonable to have a start to the spreadsheet before next meeting?
I can have something together for.
All right.
That conversation as far as looking at what we did last year and everything. I'm hoping by then I'll have someone sitting here with me too.
Okay, and just take all the names and sponsorships out and start from scratch, and then we can fill it out as we go along.
Yeah, and that's why I say the committee, like, think about all the events we did last year. This is the time, if we're gonna talk about it now, to add those events, but we need to figure out what their cost is.
Okay.
And I think the appropriate way is figure out that cost, and that's what we advertise to the community. If you wanna sponsor this event, it costs this, and this is what you get.
Who, are there any organizations that like run like a bingo that you could hire?
Yeah, we have it. We have the best one.
Okay. Well, the fire company just started, so who did they use
They
themselves?
probably all do it themselves. They most call me.
We
And
used
they
to have it
either
here.
call, most people either call Sue or I end up getting a phone call.
Okay,
We used to have the
Yeah.
VFW run ours. The VFW used to, actually do the bingos. They used to call the numbers and
They
everything.
called the numbers, did everything. We just set up the room.
Right.
Yeah, so.
But that's a thing of yesteryear, so we don't need to talk about that.
All right, it's all good stuff. Moving on. I have a request from the Veterans Committee. You might or you might not know, we had a teammate here on the board, Buddy Myers. He passed away right after Christmas.
Really?
Yeah. And Buddy was a good friend, and he spent 30 years on Parks and Recreation committee. And he was also a Navy veteran. And last year or the year before, we started taking a flag from Veterans Park and a flag from the memorial here at New Britain Township, and we would award the flag to a veteran or to somebody deserving of the flag. And if anybody's deserving of this flag right now, I think it would be Buddy Myers. And
Does he have a widow?
He does, and
So
a
the
beautiful
daughter.
daughter too. So I would, I know the VFW's not here, but we don't need a VFW
I
for
have a
this.
shadow box in my office.
That's
One
perfect. That
going.
was my next question. I think it would be very thoughtful and it would mean a lot. His kid also was on Parks and Rec on junior committee, and I think it would mean a lot for us to dedicate that flag in a shadow box, perhaps with a little plaque that shows the years that he served on Park and Recreation, and maybe have his family come here.
Do you
Ask
want-
Bob, I believe Bob was taking plaque that the Park and Rec plaque outside, took down to have his name engraved. and put
Yeah, it did. It's on there. It's on there. Yeah.
I'm trying to get, maybe duplicate one
Yeah.
of those things.
Do you
or
wanna-
something.
Ask them to come have a presentation at Board of Supervisors meeting
That would
sometime in
be,
February.
that would be perfect. I can ask, yeah, I'll take care of that.
We
We can try and coordinate that and let all the other committees know, like, I'm sure the Park and Rec committee would like to be there if we did it.
Yeah, Park and Rec, and definitely whoever wants to come here, the Board of
Mm-hmm.
Supervisors, and I'll have a couple of guys from the VFW come over since in their uniform.
So you want to do that at a separate evening here, or would you like to do something during our
Let me
event?
figure out the logistics.
Yeah,
of
let's
shadow
figure out the
box, all that
logistics,
stuff,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I would need to talk to Matt about where we're gonna fit that in and have that discussion.
Okay,
with
So,
them.
looking
I
for-
don't see that as being.
okay, good. Looking for a motion to approve that.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carried. That would mean a lot. I think it's 30 years.
Of
on Parks
course,
and Rec is a
and
long
all,
time.
yeah.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna turn over things. Stephen had one thing he wanted to say.
Yeah, so as a VA employee, this is my 21st year working at the VA. The VA is pushing an outreach for what's called the PACT Act. I don't know if you all heard the PACT Act, but it's all about the promise to address comprehensive toxics. So it became
PACT,
PACT, yeah. It all became in the news with the burn pits. But
Yeah.
this goes back 80 years to people who were exposed during radiation during the A-bomb testing and stuff. So there's a whole list of people that could be eligible for past benefits, survivors, and current veterans. So because I'm a field examiner with the VA and I go out and see people, and I'm also part of this committee, we're considering this as an outreach event tonight. So I'm going to give you a piece of paper on where the VA is right now with the PACT Act. It doesn't explain really what the PACT Act is or who's responsible for it. This is a job that I'm giving you, a job I was presented to give to you to say where the VA is at right now. It's a shame the VFW is not here right now. But if anybody has,
We'll be here.
if anybody has any questions on the PACT Act, the information's on the bottom and a QR code to scan. And let me give one of these to you.
if you have
You
that,
want
have that thing, you just need-
I have a whole PowerPoint display.
somebody send it out with the minutes?
You got one?
If you wanna,
Thank you.
if you wanna send it to me digitally, I
Sure.
can make sure it gets out and gets distributed to the VFW.
So this is all right on the health side. And I don't work on the health side. That's why I'm not supposed to answer any questions about it. But like I said, the VA is really pushing for this and trying to get as just like the fall festival, the information out there so people know about it.
And what can we do potentially to help?
Share it to the business line.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about word of mouth. I mean, if anybody, if there's a veteran out there, they've already received. If they may be eligible for this, they probably already received this by mail.
This came about when the first Gulf War, when they were pitched.
Yeah.
And stuff, it's the toxic.
Could we perhaps put something, some sort of notice in the next newsletter?
Yeah, but I don't think that would be, that's why I'm asking to get sent all the stuff digitally.
Yeah.
That way I can see. Cause I think I can at least set it up that there's a post on our website and social media that has the information in it,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
you know. We'll tag the VA in it, and so it gets distributed.
So Tricentennial Committee, we were going to potentially have events on stage. The the kids with the rock and we were thinking of doing things we can do to make it fun for the community that don't cost much. Comedians, speakers, that might be something where you can talk about.
Just make sure that, before you reach out to these vendors and stuff, make sure we don't duplicate anything,
Right.
like I already have the report for School of Rock, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't need somebody else
Correct.
calling, confusing them, just so, not that, I don't want you guys to do, it's just that we don't need to double tag everybody.
And to let you know, Tricentennial Committee will put together something like Mike was just saying earlier. Then I bring it to you and then you say, no, not that time frame, not that.
It's when I say that, Dale, what my concern is we have to do these other things, where your budget ends up, how much this thing costs, if it needs more money. I don't want this committee committing themselves when we still need to get a commitment from the Board of Supervisors. If, the Tricentennial Committee comes back and goes, hey, we can do all these things, but we need another $5,000. We need to have the board's approval first for that money, or you
Yeah.
have to have a plan of how it's being raised. I just because the board passed a resolution this year, which specifically sets a mission for that committee.
And
And that, right now, the fireworks is not a part of that mission.
I
So
appreciate
it
what
has
you're
to be
saying,
approved by the board.
but Tricentennial Committee cannot find out how much the 4th of July parade takes out of that budget and how much, because we don't know who even runs that Park and Rec. I don't know what it costs this,
What do you?
Well, no,
if you
the 20
If you build a float.
Our
you don't know how
budget
much
is
you're
gonna go for that float.
so nothing of this $20,000 budget gets used in the 4th of July parade.
Just for that float.
For the float.
For the float that we're
Tricentennial
putting-
Committee's supposed to put together.
Well, that would be
How-
That's what
usually
I'm saying.
volunteers, I would assume.
Right, so it's,
When you figure out what the commemorative, the thing you wanna do is, how many of them, how much does it cost per unit? How many units are you ordering? What are you doing with them? Do you have a plan for
Okay.
that? That's what I mean when I talk about the logistics of everything. That committee starts, like we start the fall festival now with $5,000. If I raise $0, I can only spend $5,000.
Now, that's raw 5,000, right?
Yeah, that's
That's
there's
raw.
$5,000. I believe it's 5.
But does not
Double check.
include,
Doesn't include any fundraising, nothing. That's,
but doesn't include staff or anything like that, strictly $5,000 raw.
Where does the staff come in?
Well, that's just a budgetary thing.
that's always been incorporated to show that this is the additional expense, not
Yeah.
beyond the township saying, here's $5,000 to put on this event. The township is also eating the cost of these employees being here.
Okay,
So I'm saying that's.
eating, that's what you said. Okay.
I'm trying to show this committee that the township's taking on that expense.
that
this
there
a
is this
real-
additional expense.
that This
That's,
is a
I
real
understand.
cost to this event.
which is never really.
I wanted to make sure you weren't gonna say, oh, 7,000 for the public works guys has to
No,
come
no,
out.
that's what we just said.
You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying.
Thanks for taking
What
my
I'm
money
saying
away.
to you is when you plan it, have a contingency thing in here, if we can't get X number of volunteers, we're willing to put this much money forward out of this to cover some of those expenses for staff
Right,
time to
right,
attend that
right.
event.
Okay,
Like that's what I mean by logistically, you have
Gotcha,
to figure out. what
gotcha.
you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to do our due diligence a little
You're
bit
you're not allowed to
tighter
answer
on what things are
questions,
gonna
so,
cost.
okay.
Because if it's something's out of
I
our
think probably
range,
the
then
veterans
it's
have
not
been
even worth
notified,
pursuing.
but if the
I
new
understand,
drivers
that's
are
why.
In other words,
heard about
if
it.
they're gonna charge us 15,000 for fireworks, just as an example, leaves us with $5,000, but we'll never do that.
Right, it's four.
It's,
For the record, but.
I mean, I'm just giving you an example
understand.
that,
The tent is
We just
scares
have to
me a
know-
little. I'm working on the tent. If anybody has any connections on tents, obviously I'm gonna call Party. Our local, and I'll try that and see, but that's gonna be a big one. We have to have a tent this year because God forbid it rains and we have the pictures from people's collections and we're gonna have side curtains. It's kind of nice. We're actually gonna have a weatherproof spot this time. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, that's kind of nice. It's gonna be, we have to do the layout. We have to figure out where the stage is gonna be for the daytime events and also, you know, the MC, whoever's gonna be, which we should probably talk about too. Do we have an MC for the events, you know, for the day? It might be cool to have somebody, you know, for that. But yeah, that was why I'm working on
I
that.
know a guy named Dale was pretty good. I think.
Ooh, no, you don't.
He's gonna be busy with the pumpkin painting.
Yeah, that's right. I like her. That's good. No, no.
All right, good,
Okay.
good. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Good meeting, good meeting. I'm glad to see this is all coming together. It's a big deal, 300 years.
Let's put this in line for the next newsletter going out. Yeah,
All right, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Oh, that was fast.
Speak up.
Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Good job. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks.
Shut
I
that
like
thing off.
All right, good deal.
I'll tell you something funny, when I first moved here, I had to get my fingerprints done.
There goes
So
that
my-
New York.
I
I
hear
hear it
my,
now.
so there was, I saw there was, Central Bucks, police officer